people who come out of the gates with the animal pack mentality, they tend to burn out. And the prep takes a lot more out of them, and they end up having a really hard time transitioning back out. So even though, like, physically we're getting a lot of progress coming out of the gates, and then coming out of the gates, like when we're reversing the other way, recovering rather, what's in a word, right? We're going to see that, yeah, even though the weight gain is accelerated, there's going to be a lot of behaviors that will slowly kick out. If you're okay with certain things being, I guess, suboptimal, especially right now when you don't necessarily have to be venturing out a bit out of what's convenient for the sake of a wonderful final product.
What's going on, guys? Week 2 almost in the books now, and today I'm going to teach you my 5 secret weapons to incinerating fat. But before we do, let's review the week just gone, because it's important for me personally to recap my week as a means of reflection, and to also give you guys some context in what I'm about to say in terms of the weapons I use to liberate that there fat. So this week everything's been moving pretty well into the second week of this mesocycle. Obviously we're going to experience a lot more DOMs just due to the overload and some of the novelty in the exercise selection, but I do feel that my leverages are changing just a fraction, just enough for me to notice. Definitely in the squat, getting a little bit deeper, and that caused a lot more soreness, just that additional range of motion, because obviously we've lost quite a few kgs now, around 4 kgs, so things are trending nicely. Diet, pretty good. Again, slowly implementing the habits and, you know, prioritizing adherence now over optimality, something we'll talk about shortly in terms of the diet secrets to maximal fat loss. But otherwise, mood has been a little bit up and down. Cranky at times. I think it's just a combination of busy work schedule, a lot of things going on there in combination with the stress from the diet. But I'm managing, I'm very aware of it, and I have my good moments, my bad moments like everyone, but I just notice those bad moments rising to the surface a little more so than what they normally would, but that's expected. Sleep. What is sleep? Sleep is very average, as it always is, but I really want to improve on that. I've had 3 naps this week, so that is a start. We're addressing that, and it will be a focus point moving forward as I become more and more fatigued from training and diet and everything in between. Otherwise, hunger is pretty damn good. I'm almost a master at this whole semi-starvation thing at this stage. No food focus, not even hungry at times, and you know, just eating cause, gotta eat, which is really good. It's a stark contrast to my previous contest prep, so these are good signs, very good for me personally between here, that I'm not worrying about the food too much at this stage. And otherwise, the sex drive is still there. It's definitely there. Things are very active on that front. So yeah, we're picking up speed. We're out of the gates fast, but in coming out of the gates fast, you know, physically we want to come out fast, but mentally we need to stay poised and not get too ahead of ourselves and, you know, go ham, so to speak, because that can burn us out a lot quicker than the physical stuff if we do so. So I am very much slowly turning things up as we go, but yeah, things are doing really well. Now we'll go over to the spreadsheet and run through the diet this week, and then I will tell you my secret weapons. Alright guys, so quickly take you through the week just gone, nutrition side of things, as well as the weigh-ins and what's happening on that end. Monday we hit a new low of 82.7, which was an equal low to the previous week, so things really moving in the right direction. I moved house over the weekend, which threw a spanner in the works, so I didn't get my prescribed cardio in,
but I'll make that up this week, so no biggie there. Monday through Friday was all smooth sailing with not a lot to note, really. As you can tell by my weigh-ins, moving through till Saturday, we had some really consistent drops on the scale, which was great to see. But on the Friday, I had a friend come down, as you can see here, from Interstate, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity to crack open a bottle of red and enjoy a few wines. So I actually had 3 wines. I made it work. Quite low on the targets, simply because I accounted for the 3 wines in that, but didn't attribute the calorie intake as not to skew the macros. And then on the Saturday, had a high day, and I went out for dinner. Obviously, we know that the deeper we get into a contest prep, the more antisocial we become. So I figured at this point of the prep, it's a good idea to be as social as I can whilst obviously doing what I need to do to consistently make progress and stick to the plan. So I went out for dinner with some friends, and instead of getting something that's really hard to track and throwing caution to the wind, I simply ordered a stone grill with kangaroo, emu, and crocodile. Yeah, I'm Australian, you know it. And that was just simply cooked on a grill, no oil. I ordered steamed broccoli, and I had a cup of rice with that. So I asked the chef or the waitress to measure the portion sizes of the meat, because obviously they're the most calorie dense items on the menu. And yeah, just simply tracked that, made it work, and it was all G. And you can see that there wasn't too much of a climb in my scale weight on the Sunday. And on the Sunday, I enjoyed some pizza for dinner, along with copious amounts of carbohydrates. And again, it was just very much a case of making sure I was full, as well as ticking off a few of those cravings. And I guess pizza is one of those things that I really do enjoy eating at the moment. That'll likely change, and as calories come down over time, definitely not something that I'm going to be eating too regularly, because we know that we can get a lot fuller with some more diligent choices in our food. But that's the week just gone. Things are trending really, really well. I'm very happy with the progress, and so is Coach Nunez. So onwards and upwards at this stage. No changes to the plan. We're going to just keep eking out progress on the current calorie macro setup until we stall around the low end of 81s, as Nunez has outlined to me in our discussions. And then we'll probably take the foot off the accelerator and slow things down a bit. So that's where we're at with things, guys. And now I'm going to just chat to you about the 5 tools that I use, or the weapons. It sounds a lot more sexy when I tell you that they're weapons, to help me shred that they're fat.
Alright guys, so I'm going to now tell you my 5 secret weapons in successfully dieting for fat loss. And the first one is slowly implementing the habits that we need for dieting. So as Coach Nunez outlined in the epic introduction to this video with that super motivational background music playing, the slower we come out of the gates mentally, the less fatiguing the diet can seem. And this is really beneficial, especially over the long haul and if we have an extremely extended prep, as is the case for me. So having a much slower rate of implementing and adjusting the mindset into the diet can really go a long way. And that's something that I've been focusing on the last couple of weeks, is just turning the heat up, so to speak, as opposed to going from 0 to 100, just transitioning from 70 through to 80, 90%, and so on and so forth. And that goes a long way. Obviously, we want to see the rate of physical progress be quite quick, especially at this stage of the prep for me, but we don't want the mental fatigue that typically comes along with that to progress at the same rate. We want that to be slower and somewhat less aggressive than what we're feeling physically. So that's number 1. Number 2, in alignment with the slower implementation of habits, we simply need to aim for progress and not perfection. And I see this as something that will set me up for a lot of success down the track, because like I mentioned, by turning the heat up slowly, but not beating myself up if I don't hit my calories and macros, if I miss a cardio session, or just feeling guilty or pressured by the time constraint on the prep. As long as the physical stuff's coming along at a nice rate, we don't need to be perfect, and that's the nature of the game. There's no such thing as perfection, but if we're progressing, that is the key. My third secret weapon, which may come as a surprise to many of you, is fasting. So when the calories are getting lower, having more frequent meals or even having them spread evenly throughout the day can increase food focus. Often hunger increases as well, and fasting can go a long way in allowing you to bias your calories towards the times when you want to eat them or you feel they are most necessary. And for me, that's in the evening. So I'm typically fasting at the moment until about midday, having my first meal then. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I work from 5 till midday. I'm not really thinking about food. I'm not hungry. And if I'm smashing some caffeine, I'm good to go. And it also allows me to have more of my calories around training, which is typically in the afternoon and the evening at this stage. So really useful strategy is fasting when you're on lower calories. The caveat to that is some people can be prone to binging or, just becoming hyper food focused, if they're not accustomed to fasting. So just be careful with that one. It's not magic, but it is a useful tool in helping us control our calorie intake. The fourth tip or secret weapon is having structure. So like I mentioned, I have a routine in terms of my meal schedule and the timing that I'm eating, but I also have a structure in terms of the composition of my meals. So my first meal is a very high fiber, high volume and high protein meal, obviously saving the calories. And then my second meal pre-workout is a very similar structure every day. So I'm having some fruit with another serving of protein, and then in the evening again I'm having another 2 meals. They are similar compositions each day. They're high carb, high protein, moderate food volume, and we're just making sure that we hit the calories and the macros and finish things off. But having a structure through your meal schedule, through your training schedule, work, sleep, like your social life, when you're spending time, not thinking about the prep, these things matter, because the less decisions we have to make, the more likely we are to stick to the plan, because we know that if we allow ourselves to make decisions when we're tired and fatigued, often we can make the wrong decision. And the final tip, which I started to allude to in the fourth tip there, was high volume foods. So I am eating a metric shit ton of vegetables at the moment because they're satiating, right? A lot of food for not a lot of calories, a lot of water content in them as well, so they're going to fill me up. And obviously hunger is a very, very real consequence of being in an energy deficit, so we need to have strategies in place to help us minimize hunger. We can't eliminate it, but we can minimize it so that it is less burdensome and obviously not going to cause us to overconsume. So I'm eating a lot of vegetables, zucchini, mushrooms, capsicum, onions, pumpkin, all these foods that are, very low calorie per gram of food, and it's really going a long way in keeping me full. In terms of staying full, whilst not a food, the diet soda is definitely helping, and I'm keeping Coca-Cola and Pepsi in the game with the amount I'm drinking at the moment. Not necessarily healthy, but not necessarily unhealthy, but for now it's serving a very useful purpose in keeping me on track with my nutrition. So guys, they are my 5 secret weapons to setting up a successful fat loss diet. I hope that was useful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video log. If you did, give it a like. Hope you all follow the journey, and it's onwards and upwards from here.